What's up guys? Let me prefix this by saying that I love the iPad Pro. I use it all of the time, from making drawings on Procreate, to designing things, to playing set lists of Catan, to watching videos on YouTube. So I use it pretty much every day and for loads of different things. I bought the 2020 iPad Pro, which was branded a MacBook killer. And I really did try and use it like a MacBook, like a laptop, as a replacement, but I found that it just wasn't possible. I ended up just realizing it wasn't a laptop and then caving in and buying another laptop and then ending up with both. My name is Kieran, I'm a junior doctor and a comedian working in Manchester. As always, if you're new, hit the subscribe button so you can join the team. This video is about why the iPad Pro will and cannot replace my MacBook. Let's get straight to it and talk about the real problem, the file management system. To take a file from my SD card from this camera, to put it in a SD card reader and then into my laptop is dead easy. And then from there, I can open Finder with the SD card on it, I can open Finder with a hard drive on it, quite simply drag and drop the file, and then it's done. That same process with an iPad becomes an absolute shit show. On the MacBook, I can make some really nice folders like videos, YouTube, iPad review, and then search for it very easily. That same process on the iPad they make just really difficult. Plugging in an SD card and opening up the file are fine, that's no problem at all. The issue comes when you're trying to transfer large files. What I found is that it starts to transfer, you have no idea or indication of how long it's going to take, and you just get occasionally this whirling bar, which goes until it feels like stopping. And then occasionally it crashes because the files are too big. The organization is also terrible. Apart from that iCloud drive, which includes your desktop, your documents, your downloads, and that part is really cool. The fact that in the Apple Sphere, you can have all of your documents across all of your devices, so your MacBook, your iPad, your phone, that part is really cool and it's very easy to access your documents like you would on a laptop. But if you aren't storing it on the iCloud drive, the other place you're storing it is called On My iPad. But what is that section really for? Who's actually storing anything on their iPad like that? The main reason for me about using and moving files is that it feels like you're doing it on a phone. It doesn't feel like you're doing it on a MacBook where you have total control, you've only got a few controls, and it feels very rudimentary. And that is the main reason that it's not a computer. I also find that some work and studying related apps are much harder to use, even Microsoft Office, so Word is pretty much the same, but Microsoft PowerPoint can be quite fiddly. Excel, the formulas that you use on the iPad become a lot more difficult to use than when you're using them on the MacBook, and it's just not worth it. It just feels like at the end of the day, you're putting more effort and time in to get the same outcome that you would get with a MacBook. Maybe there are some people who just love using Microsoft Office on an iPad, but that person just isn't me. Multitasking with two screens on an iPad is really easy. You have one thing on one side, you pull another application in, and all of a sudden you've got a split screen with an application on either side. And that's quite cool. It's like you've got two half-sized iPads that you can use independently. But what if you don't want two screens? What if you want three screens or four screens? What if I want YouTube playing a song over here, and I want Spotify over here, and I want Notion over here, and I want my files over here? If I wanted four things open, it becomes really difficult to do without having to switch apps, and it's very cumbersome. So for simple things like annotating lectures or doing drawings or just watching YouTube on something that's a bit lighter, it's perfect. It's lightweight, it's sleek, it looks really cool, and it fits in your bag perfectly. And also you can tell people that you've got an iPad. But for the heavy stuff, you might really want a MacBook, because although it might match up in terms of speeds, it doesn't quite match up in terms of functionality. So then what's the point of an iPad? If you don't have one, should you go out and buy one? There are some things that the iPad is way better at doing. For example, watching videos. If you are watching YouTube on your iPad, it's really nice to scroll through it. If you click on a video and maximize the screen, it fills this whole 12.9-inch Retina display, and that does look really cool. The other obvious advantage is that having a touchscreen means that if you're a creative, if you're a student making notes on something, that becomes worthwhile. For example, if I am needing to sign any documents, I'll always do it on my iPad. If I'm designing some thumbnails, I will do that on my iPad. Or if I'm making any other sorts of drawings, or if Sam's doing drawings, that's all usually done on the iPad. I recently did a sketch of these wardrobes so that we could get them built, and it was built off that sketch. Sam recently did our wedding invitations on the iPad and designed them and sent them off to an artist to get them made. And then also you've got some particular iOS apps that are only available for iPhone and iPad. One in particular that I use is called Down Dog, which is a yoga app, which on the iPad looks really cool. I can head up to the roof and do some yoga with the iPad. It's very aesthetically pleasing, especially with the Magic Keyboard. It just floats in the air, and if you're ever at a party and you see an iPad and you want to change the music, it's quite a cool thing to have out. So who's it really for? I'm not really sure. It's an expensive tool for creators and students who in general probably have less money than other people. And it feels like you're having to go an extra mile just to do something with an iPad rather than just doing it with a MacBook, which would take less time. So although I think it's cool, I think we're not quite there yet in terms of iPads replacing our MacBooks, which is what I tried to do when I bought the iPad originally. And so I think I was probably wrong about the iPad, but I'm looking forward to what comes in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. As always, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any videos. Take care, and I'll see you next week.